Well, hi there, and welcome back to World of Tanks, Born Again Noob, and I've been having fun, as you've seen from the opening credits, rolling tanks, catching tanks, and here I am in the DW2, the German Tier 4 Heavy, using its base gun, which has very slow shells to lob them at a soft target, about all I can really damage with this gun. And Tier 4 is really where tanks start to find their real flavour. The light tanks become scout tanks. The heavy tanks start to get some decent armour, unless you're bottom tier as I am here, but there you go, what can you do? I'm about to get rushed by a much heavier tank. I was lobbing shells with my low velocity howitzer, using auto aim at that tank destroyer at the back. That worked. This tier 5 heavy charges me, I can do nothing. I switch to high explosive and hope for the best. Rely on my friends, who thankfully saved me. And of course, I'm here now, tracked, waiting, knowing RT is looking at me. It all comes, it all goes. The medium tanks at Tier 4, they become a little bit more what they should be, I guess. They're average, they're all-rounders. Mobility, firepower, protection, all very average. Anyway, back to our Stuart, the M5A1 Chinese Tier 4 light tank, a scout tank. Well, let's have a look at the Chinese tech tree, and the first thing you may or may not know is that there are very few actual Chinese tanks, certainly in the early stages. The Tier 1 tank, the NC31, is basically a French Renault FT17. The Tier 2 tank is a British Vickers light tank. The Tier 3 tank is a Japanese tank captured and used in the Civil War. The Tier 4 tank, our M5A1 Stuart, they were shipped over by America. Then once you get beyond the Stuart and what we've actually got active now, I've filmed this clip after we've sold the Stuart. We've got the Type T34, you can imagine exactly what that is. They were modified and updated in China, but they were basically Russian T34s. The T34 then splits into the light line, and the medium line continues. The medium line then splits into the medium line and the heavy line. So this Tier 5 tank and this Tier 6 tank you play a lot if you want to progress the Chinese line, and the Chinese light is one of my favourite tank lines in the game. But anyway, back to our Stuart. Let's have a little look at the details. We haven't really shown you this part of the garage before. First of all, you get an overview, a little bit of a historical information about the tank, and there you go. As I say, some were exported over to China when the Americans didn't need them anymore because they had the Chaffee. Module view, it shows you where in the tank parts are. So there's the engine and the drivetrain, we've got the gun, and these are useful more for when you're shooting these kinds of tanks, so you know where to aim for the engine. So if I was going to shoot at one of these tanks in the side, I'd aim back there, hoping that my penetration got in there and broke his engine. Radio is a very small target, but sometimes you'll hit that if you get the back of the turret. That's very often where the radio is. Ammunition racks on this particular tank are quite hard to hit. On some they're quite easy to target, particularly German heavy tanks. They're my little speciality. Then you get the armour view. Now this poor little tank doesn't really have much armour, although it is enough to bounce, especially when you've angled the tank. The machine guns and some of the light cannon that you get on the lower tier tanks. So you can be a little bit bouncy, but this is a light tank and this is Tier 4, and you really don't want to be relying on your armour. As you can see, the view range is 330 meters. These are actually specs for the basic version of the tank, because I no longer have it. We will show you the uprated version I use in the gameplay in a moment. The concealment that you can see over on the right hand side, you'll notice that they're the same when it's stationary and moving. Proper light tanks, and by that I mean scout tanks in the game context. They keep their camo rating when they're moving. It's one of their biggest advantages, and it's the one that you make the use of really in getting around the map and surviving, because you don't have many hit points. 310 hit points, that's a one hit from some of the howitzers that will be on the artillery and that will be on the tank destroyers. You've got to keep mobile, you've got to keep moving, you've got to know when to avoid exposing yourself. That is the key to surviving in a light tank. So looking at our Stuart in more detail, the basic packages feature the 37mm gun. The top package is the 47mm gun. That's 81 penetration, which is very good really for tier 4, especially on a light tank. 70 damage, which is actually quite good. The accuracy is not great, the aiming time is not fantastic. The rate of fire is high. There aren't really accurate guns at this level of the game, except for maybe some of the tank destroyers, but we'll look at those another time. The turret armor is negligible really. You'll get the odd bounce, but you just don't rely on the armor. With this upgraded turret, you do have a 350 meter view range, which can be increased with modules and cruise skills, as we'll see. So what we now have is a tier 4 scout tank. It plays up to tier 6. These used to play up to tier 7, if I remember rightly, before they rebalanced the game. We made 1 million silver recently when we completed a challenge, and we're going to put some of that back into the tanks in the form of equipment. Now this is enhances different aspects. Camouflage net we're going to buy. It decreases your detection chance by 25% when your vehicle is stationary. So we're going to buy one of those. That's very good for a scout tank. And in the other slot, we're going to buy a binocular telescope, which adds 25% of view range when you're stationary. And you actually get icons on the screen when you're playing with these that tell you when they're active. And those pieces of equipment can go on any tank for me, and they're there just for the moments in the game when you sit still. Anyway, let's get off to a battle, shall we? So here we are on Svorogorsk, which is a very hilly, wintry map. And I found myself a perch just overlooking the centre of the map. My camouflage netting and binoculars flicked on, and I spotted this guy here. Well, actually I didn't get the spot. I don't know if I get much spotting done, to be honest with you, but there you go. I've got a nice little perch up here. I'm putting some fire into him. If you look on the mini-map, there's a bit of a rush going on in the middle, taking everyone's attention up, just letting me sit here and pick my shots, really. I'm almost spoilt for choice, because I'm like looking at other targets and wondering if I should switch, but you do what you can. This gun is actually quite accurate, to be honest, for its tier. I may have downplayed that a little when we looked at the equipment in the tree, but it's certainly pumping out some damage here, and I'm seeing nothing that I can't pen. I can pen quite comfortably. All I've got to do is get on target, and I'm just eating it up, and they're all brawling away down in the middle. No one really probably even quite knows where I am. I am spotted now though, so it's time to move. There you go, someone's put a shot into me. So what we're going to do, we've got a Vanquisher. He's quite a tough little tank. I don't really want to be dealing with him one-on-one, so I'm going to just back off for now. Oh no, but the support is already here. So I'm going to take advantage of this. Hopefully they're going to get there first and draw his fire. I am just going to use the speed of this tank, get around that corner, put some shots into him. Now I'm not scared when I've got lots of hit points to take a few, especially if I know I'm up against another light tank with a low alpha, but this guy there, I'm going to duck down here for a moment. We've got the Panzer II-J. He's a tough tank, but I've got a good gun, good penetration. We've got the Stuart M2 medium over here. Now remember this guy, because I don't forget him, but the game might. I've got hit again by the M2. I need to just keep moving now. I can't afford to sit there and exchange shots with him. That is not what scout tanks are for. I'm going to get round into the back of this Panzer II, which can be a right handful in some instances, but luckily we can deal with him quite nicely with our gun, and we're bouncing some shots off our rear end off his machine gun, which is quite lucky. I'm going to back off, let him come to us. We'll get the first shot in there. There you go, he's taken down. Took a little bit of damage off of us, but we can bounce most of those machine gun shells. They're also very inaccurate, those machine guns. Not many of them will even hit you if you're moving. Now, where's the M2 gone? I'm very aware that he's not dead. I'm letting that guy go ahead. He's got more hit points than me. I'm expecting the M2 to get spotted. He's not. Where is he? Now, I don't know if there's something going on that just glitches or something, because I don't get detected. But I also don't get any kind of alert. See, that M2 has now popped up back on the mini-map. Right up there, I drove right past there. So I'm very, confused. He can't see me. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's dead. Fantastic. That's 5 kills. We're doing quite nicely. Let's see if we can get 6. There's not much left to go for, but we'll do what we can. And with hindsight, I probably should have just kept driving and closed range, but you never know. These opportunities come and go. You get a Top Gun badge for getting 6 kills in a battle. We haven't got one yet on this account. I get a couple of shots, one shot into this guy. He moves a bit faster than I expect him to, and I just cannot get a shot on target before he is dead. There you go. No 6th kill for me, but we did pretty well. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, well, look at that. Nearly 2400 XP doubled for our first win of the day. 40,000 silver, that's quite useful. Nearly 1700 damage, 0 assisted damage. There you go. I did no spotting whatsoever in that match whatsoever, but that's a lot of damage for a light tank. Let's have a look in detail. We got the Duelist medal. That's for killing things that damaged us. We got 5 shots in a row. We got the High Caliber medal. That's for getting the most damage in the game. The Fighter, destroy 4 or 5 enemy vehicles in a game. Fire for effect, we want that in as many battles as possible. That's to do as much damage as you've got hit points. Bruiser, damage enemy modules 5 times. And there you go, the Ace Tanker badge. That means we did as well in that game as 99% of players haven't. We're in the top 1% in the last week. Cool-headed. That's taking lots of ricochets. That was that machine gun bouncing all off of us. And then we got our regular damage. 26 penetrations, 5 destroyed. Not a bad performance. And look, we are way top of our team on damage. Looks like we might have done as much damage as the rest of our team. And you can get the details here of who you've hit and what you've done. If you want to be really, you know, nerdy about it. We've actually damaged 8 tanks there, which is over half the enemy team. Well done, us. Well, the American Tier 4 light tank is a Stuart as well, but we'll look at that another time. He gets an auto-loader gun. That has to unlock 2 tanks. We've done 1. This here, Tier 5 M5A1 Chaffee, Tier 5 scout tank. It plays up to Tier 7, which can be quite a challenge. Very fast, very nippy. Has a good, reasonable camo. And you can certainly get around the battlefield in this tank. We're going to put in one of the crews that you pick up for playing the War Stories challenges. And all you actually have to do is even just unlock those games, and you get a crew member that features in the story. You can put them in one of your tanks, and they come 100% trained and with a skill, and you can put them in any of your tanks, and they don't have to train. Now, what you can do here, I can learn a second skill. You could learn a skill like camouflage, which is going to go up gradually as you learn it. Mentor is one that I do quite like. It basically means you train a little bit quicker, and I just focus on that. There are different ways of using your training. We'll look at that stuff in more detail in another episode. Now, the Chaffee starts off with quite a soft gun. Doesn't get a lot better actually as you unlock the packages, but anyway, this is a very early game. This is probably the second game I played in the Chaffee. It's on Tundra. Usually this is a winter map, and it does actually throw me a little bit, as you'll see. I lose my bearings a little because it's all green and nice. But there you go. But you can see the tank moving around nicely, up the hills, doing the turns, very agile, just the way we like it. And we're going to find ourselves a little spot. I'm heading over this way, not really quite sure where to go to be of best use, and maybe try and get some spotting done. I'm not going to get much spotting done in the side of a train, but also I get to see where my team are deploying, figure out where I'm best placed. I'm just going to have a look here, and there's my first spot before my binoculars and camo net have even had a chance to in fact, I've only got a camo net on this one. I didn't have the money left after buying the tank to have binoculars as well, so I'm harder to spot, but I have no assistance in my spotting. The crew is 100%, as I said. So I'm just waiting now. I can see on the mini-map these tanks are getting quite close. Seems to be clear, so I'm going to nip round and pounce on this one. And there you go. And I charge straight in over here onto the flank of these tanks. Now there are tanks to my right. What I'm banking on here, and it often works but sometimes doesn't, is everyone is so focused on this firefight, zoomed in on their views, that nobody's really going to even notice me. I don't really see anyone shooting at me. But everything I'm about to get a kill shot on, if you watch, dies. So I'm going to get in on this bulwark, get one into the side of him, make sure I can turn around the back of him, which I can do, and he dies just as I'm about to kill him. I turn back, we got the VK, he's dead just as I'm about to fire, and a Churchill 7. Now this is quite a tough tank, so I'll switch to my armor piercing ammo. And let's see, we're going to just get round him, there you go. Dump myself into a wreck, lucky to get away with that without taking a hit. One through the front of the Churchill, maybe into his turret. I'm not even taking the time to see where these shots are going. I'm leaving auto aim to do the work, just putting my tank in a position where auto aim works properly. And he's dead anyway. Right, I've respotted some enemy over there. We got a captured KV-1 and a tank destroyer. That's the Hetzer we saw earlier on. I'm going to use this ridge as cover. The enemy tanks over there are well away. They're not on the same level of terrain as me, so I'm safe. So I can get a shot into the Hetzer. And he gets hit. I'm getting some spot damage in this game at least. I get another shot on him and I break his gun, but I don't get any real damage. And I'm just about to get him through the bottom plate and he gets killed by a teammate. Now we got the captured KV-1S, he's AFK. If the battle wasn't won, I wouldn't necessarily be stopping to do this now, honestly. But here you go, I'm just going to peck away at this guy. I'm not sure if he fires a shot there or whether he takes a hit. But anyway, look, he's got to be mine. My kill. No. That one just as I'm about to pull the trigger. In fact, I did pull the trigger. Let's see what we got here. We're now into the back of the last of the enemy. There's a Panzer 1C. Very nice, fast scout tank who's sitting still for some reason, which you should not be doing. But I think I'm just not even drawing any attention. I'm on their mini-maps. I am detected. 6 sensors gone off, which means somebody can see me. I get one shot into that Churchill through his tracks. And I think he can't get his gun down to shoot at me there. I've got him stuck up on that bit of rock. And there you go, the game is done. We've won. Fantastic. And yeah, I think that was my second game. The tank does get upgrades for maneuverability and power and spotting when you get the final package on it. But there you go, that's not a bad start, is it? 1700 XP, 900 damage, 746 spot damage. Top of our team. There you go, tier 5 match. And we got the first class badge, so we've done better than 95% of players in that tank in the last week already. Those things are so situational, I don't get too carried away on them. However, the enemy have got to do the things that allow you to get the damage and get the spots. They've just put loot boxes in the game, and we logged in on an account we don't really use much anymore. My son Dexter used to use it, but he doesn't really play World of Tanks much. He had a little bit of money left on it. We bought one loot box for a couple of quid. And we've unlocked it, and we've won a tier 6 premium tank, Rudy, which is a Russian T-34-85, quite a nice tank, quite like that one. And it comes with a crew that includes a dog that goes woof when your 6th sense goes off. How cool's that?